Mm. Good morning, everybody. Today is November 12th. It's my day 1.184. And just wanted to touch base. Had some thoughts. Got me up a little early this morning. A couple things, but I think there'll be two topics, and it's laser 11 is going to be the main one, and then voice training revisited is going to be the other. Of course, I have a lovely resonating voice this morning. I don't know if you can tell; it's really resonating. I'd forgotten, for lack of a better excuse, how much my voice resonates, and now it's like you're aware of it, so you're like, stop resonating, stop resonating. But anyway, but let's dive into this one thing at a time. Laser 11. Yesterday was my laser session 11, and um, I'm just going to lean in. I don't know if you can really see. Let me take my glasses off. But this is Dermatology 101 here, if you're interested. See the red spots? Yeah, those are hairs that, right there, they look kind of like acne, but they're not. Those are hairs that got splatted yesterday. Little bastards were deep entrenched. Thought they could get away from the laser, but they were wrong. So the only downside, laser, I think a benefit, I'll give you a pro and a con. The pro is it's very quick, and with the little probes, you can get probably about a square half inch of area in one go, and you're done. But it can hurt like a motherfucker. Somewhat. Not as bad as electrolysis. Electrolysis to me is the most painful thing that we do to our bodies externally as part of this process. But anyway, but the con is, I'll give you a pro, the con is that, for a couple days afterward, it's like you have a really bad sunburn. It's a lot of radiation, the light. And so my skin is very, very hot, and I have to put aloe vera on every so often just to cool it down, but also to moisturize it and everything. So to help it heal, because really it's really a very condensed. Obviously, it's coherent light. It's a laser. A lot of heat and whatnot cooks your little follicle. And anyway, so that's where I had 11 laser sessions. And so if you were curious as to one case study as to what 11 sessions of laser would be like, would be it. Supposedly it's got a 15% success rate if the hair follicle just happens to be in one of three stages that hair follicles go through as they are dormant and they're awake. It just so happens there's like a 15% chance that it will successfully work, and that's why I think it takes a while. And I remember when I started. I started on a Valentine's Day package almost 2 years ago. Yeah. Well, 11 sessions at 7 to 12, 11 sessions at 12 weeks apart. I'll let you do the math there. I thought she said something yesterday about 4 times a year, so maybe more than that. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. The short of it is, if you're curious what 11 sessions looks like, and well, I never felt like I could fully grow a beard. I think as a quasi person walking around in a male cadaver and a male skin, previously I think I could kind of fake it somewhat. So neither here nor there. But one really cool kind of thing about yesterday is I happened to get there a couple minutes late, and so I didn't have my normal tech. They gave me the next available tech. It was very nice of them to do that because I didn't want to wait, and I already had numbed up my face, and it's like Novocaine in your mouth but on your face, and you're just like, I'm here for my appointment. But so I had a new tech, and she took my file that she'd never seen before and just flipped to the page, what areas are you getting done, and it had like a picture of a person, and they had take a yellow highlighter and highlight areas. And so she kept on saying, well, she'd say, honey, I don't know where your hair, where do you normally find hair? You know, is it on your cheeks? Is it on your chin? Is it on your neck a little bit? You know, honey, where do you normally get your hair? In the back of my mind, I'm sitting there going, she doesn't know I'm trans. You know, when I started out, I went there as Mr. Parks, you know, and I had a beard, and it was, you know, we're going to do electrolysis on your beard. You know, the first few sessions, that's what it was. Your beard, your beard, your beard. Kept on talking about your beard. And yesterday I noticed, like I said, it was area. Do you have it on your cheeks? Do you have it above your lip? You know, it was like doing in my back of my head, and I hope that's the way it was. And I think sometimes we give ourselves too much credit for passing when we don't really pass. At the same time, we have a fear of not passing. It's one of those really weird dichotomies. But that's it for Laser 11. So we'll jump into voice training revisited. At last night's TWN meeting, one of the topics that our president, Megan, who is just doing an awesome job. Can't say that enough. Very cool. But one of the things we talked about was voice training, and I immediately, she might be flattered by this, I don't know, but I immediately noticed when I talked to Megan the first time, I was like, oh, she's employing some techniques. And it touched off kind of a, you know, ooh, she sounds really good. I want to sound like her, you know, type thing, which we do because we always want to improve ourselves to a degree. And it was part of the discussion. We talked about, I brought up Melanie Ann Phillips because I'm older. And Melanie Ann Phillips was kind of the cool voice coach when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do back in the 90s, early 90s. And then later, Megan brought up Andrea James. I mean, originally she brought up Andrea James. And Andrea James definitely, the TS roadmap probably should be if there was a course on transgender, trans women 101, I think it would, her whole website and anything she's ever done is probably would be required reading. But I wanted to just touch a little bit on voice training because it's kind of got my mind thinking again. You know, monkey see, monkey do. I kind of has got my mind back on voice training, and I don't know if I'm gonna just do a summary video. I'd like to do another video, but I don't want to redo the whole series, so I may just link to my old videos, which I called terrible voice training because they're terrible. You don't want to do them. But I think some caveats need to be laid out first, and I must be avoiding looking at the camera today because I'm kind of nervous. Voice is definitely something that's very, very deep. Yes, dear. Voice training is something that... Yes, dear. What? What, baby? I'm over here. I don't think you would miss me. Sorry. Gotta take care of my buddy here, my friend. Voice training is something that was very, very, very deep, no pun intended, as far as a lot of my fears and a lot of my concerns. Maybe I'm going to cry now. Voice training was something that was a very deep rift in my own life because I have such a deep voice. I have such a resonating voice. And now I'm shaking. At least you know it's authentic. And so I guess I feel the need to put a caveat out there that as someone who has had a lot of fear over this topic, that, there we go, getting control again. As someone who has had a lot of fear and worry and guilt, not necessarily guilt, but shame maybe, and fear about being clocked and everything, Um, I think it's very important to say up front that, number one, everyone's results may vary. Voice is something that's a lot like style. It's part of your identity. It's part of your presentation. And so, you know, no two people are going to be the same. And again, it's your style. It's your sense of style. It's your personality and your identity to a certain degree. And I think that's why it's such a deep, it cuts so deep to someone who has a deep voice or a very resonating voice. I think it like I said, it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain in me still. Obviously, I didn't realize how much pain I had. But so I guess the caveat to say is that I would strongly, strongly admonish, if I can, that your voice is something that our voices is something that's very key to who we are, and not to let that stop you from transitioning. That was something I was always afraid of. You know, when I was in my 20s, I wouldn't transition because as a 6 foot tall person who's always been morbidly obese, I mean, I was like, there's no woman or man who will have me as a woman, and I won't sound like a woman. And so, why try? Why bother? And I guess that's the crux of what I'm saying is I'm very leery. Again, it's like a warning or an admonishment. It's not telling you what to do. It's just saying, please be aware that men and women come in all shapes and sizes. And women's voices come in all kinds of tones, pitches, resonance. Go to your local piano and fumble around with the keys. And if you go down to like A2, there are women who talk with an A2. Okay? Start off in middle C and go down. Look at Cher. Cher has a voice that's deep and gritty. And so, and I'll tell you a real quick funny story, because when I was dealing with this in the 90s, I had a failed transition in the 90s. Okay, I had to detransition in the 90s. That's the short of it. And because of my emotional collapse and depression, I got fired from my job, and I was, I was, I had a degree and I couldn't find a job, and I had college debt, and I took whatever I could do. And so I don't know why I'm giving you the story, but I ended up working at a concession stand at a movie theater. That was the best job I can get, and there's nothing wrong with that. Compared to working at Burger King, which I've done before 5 times in my life, I've worked at 5 Burger Kings in my life. I'll take concession stand over Burger King any day. But I had the opportunity to listen to people, and when in that kind of situation, people that come up and they're talking amongst themselves, do you want popcorn? No, I don't want popcorn. I want Raisinets. They're talking amongst themselves. And a lot of times with my back turned, I played a game where I couldn't see them, but I tried to figure out, was it a man? Was it a woman? How old? And there were women who, talk about Harvey Weinstein, not the sex predator guy, but the other guy in the movies. David, why am I telling my mother? He did the Kinky Boots. He's half of the Kinky Boots team, him and Cyndi Lauper. David. Again, a caveat is that women, again, come in all shapes and sizes, tones, pitches, voice quality. And so please don't let that prevent you from transitioning. If that is a concern, I can tell you that. And don't let it drag you down. Don't blame yourself. And I think that's all I need to say about that. Voice training, very, very quickly revisited. In the remaining time here, I would say there is no one best method. You can look on YouTube and probably get many hits as to what you should do, how, this is what I did and it worked for me, which is great. So I think when it comes to voice training, as a general rule, it's probably all of the above. And it's up to you to dig and research and find. There definitely are some good shortcuts. Like I said, Andrea James was awesome. Is awesome. Still awesome. That I know of. But again, it's part of that digging, and it doesn't cost you anything either. It's an investment of your time, and then later practicing. But the most successful method that I've found, and again, that's going to be for me somewhat, because again, I don't think I really have a feminine sounding voice, but I don't really try either. So there you go. You'll miss every target you don't shoot at, right? But most of it is focusing on your voice box. And Google that. Look at your research. Figure out how your voice box works. But your voice box is in your throat. And it's just part of resonating. And so really, I asked an old friend to help me out here. But, musical instruments, if you think of your voice box as a musical instrument, all it's doing is it's a column of air, and all you're doing is you're making that pipe longer and shorter, right? Kind of like if you had thank you, old friend, if you had a bottle of water and you blew on it, whoo, and then you dump some of the water out, whoo, or no, it would do that, it would go ooh, it would go down. Sorry, been a long time on physics. Again, that's the whole thing, is you're just changing how much air, as far as pitch goes, how much, so all you're doing is you're taking your muscle that you've trained over time, believe it or not, who maybe this is how big it is, and all you're doing is you're loosening, you're stretching, you're working, and you're going to work, and over time, just I've already forgotten what I was saying. Getting old sucks. But that's all you're doing. And so the good news is you already have the capability. You have the capacity. You're not going to have to spend money. You're not going to have to see a doctor. You're not going to have surgery to do that. But it does require practice and a commitment of time and whatnot. And again, I would go back to that first caveat. Okay. You're going to be your authentic self regardless of how you sound. It's a personal choice. And again, don't let that stop you. That would be my, let's not go there. It's definitely an issue. I feel bad sometimes, but anyway, let's not talk about my problems. Right. Sure. But really, I think that's just about it. So like I said, I think I might revisit my my old stuff and see maybe I could make a playlist. But like I said, I really, like I said, don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you, because boy, it can be an excuse. And I think probably the most healthy, and I'm not a doctor, and I don't play one on TV, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express. But I think the most healthy thing is to discover for yourself who you are and who you want to be, and establish that as it works for you, and that's who you are. And again, there's you have to realize, I think too, there are some limitations. If you're doing voice training, there's definitely some limitations. It definitely takes, like I said, a commitment of effort and practice. But also, again, how are you presenting yourself? And I feel like I'm repeating myself now. But anyway, well, I opened up an emotional keg bomb this morning. I got to work on that. But anyway, so that's my update for today. And isn't it wonderful we live in the age that we live in, that we can talk about such things, and we can look on the internet and look up different things and talk to one another. And that was something I really enjoyed about last night's meeting, which again, props to Megan and everyone who participated. You know, we have this desire to help other people, and unfortunately we come across as, I'll tell you what you need to do. And you know, again, I think older trans women, and I hate to use that word, but older trans women who may be a little further on their journey might have something to help someone else that's younger. But by the same token, we need to be listening to those who are further along than we are. But at the end, the final, it all depends on what we are, and the women that we want to be, and the woman that we are, and the woman that we wish to portray and project. And oh golly, now I'm aware of it. Boo hoo! I really am resonating. I used to talk like this all the time. And that's one other thing I'll warn you about, and I'll shut up, I promise. You might look someone up and they'll say, I'd like to send you my 10-volume set of CDs for only $9.99 for shipping and handling, because I used to talk like this, and I could teach you how to teach like this, and all of your dreams will come true, and all your problems will be solved. And that's a sack of shit. Okay? So, got that out of the way. Ooh, now I'm resonating again. Oh! And I forgot about it. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I can live with it. All right, my friends. No questions were answered. Probably no problem solved. But I felt like I needed to say something. And again, share my story about session 11. I thought that was really cool. Wouldn't it be nice? Is that maybe the ultimate goal? Do you think? To forget? Is that possible? To forget? What was that? Total Recall, where they could imprint memories on you and make you forget stuff somewhat. Wouldn't it be kind of cool to transition and then like have your whole like mail history yanked? Although you probably wouldn't. I wouldn't want it. I'm definitely the sum of my parts that includes my faults, and there's parts of my past I'm kind of proud of. I was an Eagle Scout, done a lot of stuff, etc., etc. But I don't know, it'd be kind of neat, it'd be like, Robin, I haven't seen you in so long. I've not seen you since you transitioned, or I've not seen you in 5 years. The transition looks good on you, and you're like, what are you talking about? I've always been this way. How I don't understand what you're trying to do, right? I'm so confused. Can you explain? And you genuinely would not know, right? Right. Oh, golly. Now we're going into science fiction. Download your into a cube and crush it like at a Jewish wedding, right? No, we wouldn't do that. Or would we? All right, my friends, I have thoroughly wasted 24 minutes of time this morning, but I do feel a little better, and obviously I got some issues I got to deal with now because I opened up but I do feel better, and maybe that's why I need to revisit. I don't know. All right, my friends, till next time, good luck, and I will wish you a happy day, and until next time, farewell, good luck.